And what can you tell me about these particular Philly classic? These are some important Philly bands, aren't they? Frankie Smith, Double Dutch Bus. What's the importance of this, Questlove?
This pretty much, this is an important record. For starters, Frankie Smith, not necessarily an MC's MC, back when rap was just a novelty thing, but Frankie Smith was world famous for bringing the Philly slang. The same slang that you hear Snoop slanging, you know, that whole for shizzle my nizzle, yo, what's a dizzle? Like, pretty much, this is the record that started. Actually, Missy had sampled this particular record on one of her hits, where, you know, it's a kiss up, miss up, miss up, miss up, miss up, my kiss up, what's up, it's a kiss up, you know, it's a whole song with Izzle, you know. So pretty much, Frankie Smith brought the Philadelphia lifestyle back when everything, like, we used to always say in Philly, like, yo, what's the dizzle? Yo, what you doing to nizzle? You know, no, I mean, I gotta do my homework kizzle. You know, like, that's how we was talking in the late 70s and early 80s. And he basically just put that on record. That was double dizzle talk right there. Wow. Steady B.
More Philly rock.
Yeah,
Rap.
This is a
real gangster.
This is Philly's first thug. Steady B he was like a street cat. He pretty much, he came up, his uncle, not Warren McGloon, but Lawrence Goodman. Lawrence Goodman was sort of like one of the first Suge Knights of the rap industry. He had an empire. He started a record in Philly called Pop Art Records, and he was the guy that started off MC Shan, Marley Marl, the Roxanne Shante. He had Craig G, the Juice Crew, the people you know now as the Juice Crew, also Biz Markie. And he also put his nephew on, and they had a crew. And that crew consisted of Steady B, Cool C, and EST, and 3 Times Dope. But unfortunately, when you're not coming into this industry as a career-minded artist, tough times can come on you. Like, he had a little regional hit song called I'm Serious. He got respect from New York a little bit, just a little bit. But unfortunately, in 1996, him and Cool C and another cat from Philly, Snook Nook, say that 20 times without stuttering. Snook Nook got involved with in a botched armed robbery, and unfortunately they had to murder a cop, and now they are all 3 on death row.
The Hillside Hustlers.
Yeah, the Hillside Hustlers, yeah. But they pretty much brought, like, Philly flavor. You know, a lot of people want to credit, like, De La Soul for, like, the strange hairstyles, but Philly's known for its beards, and in the early 80s, we were one of the first to do, like, just the craziest hairstyles. And this last group, the legendary 3 Times Dope, they are also part of the Hillside Hustlers. This cat right here, EST, is one of the most, this is a Philadelphia legend right here. Actually, he has another second one. EST is now making an awesome living as a songwriter, and he's one of many songwriters that former Root Scott Storch uses. So when you see some of his credits, he wrote for Christina Aguilera, he wrote Me, Myself, and I for Beyonce. Many of the countless stuff that Scott Storch does, he writes most of the lyrics, so he's making a good living. I don't know what's up with Woody Wood and Chuck Nice, but like this was like one of the first coolest groups from Philly. You know, this is like one of the groups that we wanted to pattern ourselves after. They was just cool, you know.
Questlove of the Roots, what can you tell me about the importance of the meters and Amory?
This particular song, "Oh Calcutta," was the music, the backdrop music that Amory used for one thing. But even more important, you know, a lot of people always say, like, oh man, music ain't the same as it was back in the day. But I did my research, and you know what I discovered? I discovered that no matter what era we're in, people are always referencing something else. Like, even if we were to go into a time machine and travel back to the 70s, if you were to look at the top of the charts, you wouldn't see this album at all. This was like an underground record, similar to an MF Doom record. Only Choice people knew about this group, even in their heyday, even during their time period. But I mean, they have big fans, and Paul McCartney, I know that he had them open a few shows for him. Stevie Wonder was definitely a big fan, but this is definitely probably one of the few bands that could rival James Brown in absolute funkiness.
How many times have they been sampled? How many times has the Amory beat been sampled? The Amory beat.
That particular sample, once, maybe I heard it in an old Ultramagnetic cut, but a lot of people take Look a Pie Pie. This whole particular record is damn near sampleable, if that's a word. Sampleable. That's our word for the day. Sampleable. Anyway, pretty much their first 4 records are pretty much standards for which Ice Cube, De La Soul, Tribe, countless. Like, who is not in classic early 90s hip hop taken from this group?
Questlove of the Roots, how do you not laugh when you're on stage?
I laugh all the time. You crazy?
That's what I was wondering, like with Dave Chappelle. Tell me about doing Different Strokes with Dave Chappelle and John Mayer.
We were waiting. That came up by fluke because one of the cameras, we had like 2 cameras for that skit, and one of them had broken down. So we were waiting, and then we just broke out. Actually, we broke out into. If they ever show the raw footage has about 8 or 9 TV themes. We chose Different Strokes and The Facts of Life, but we were doing the Jeffersons, we were doing Good Times.
Now, this isn't just, you by yourself, Dave Chappelle and John Mayer. Yeah, could you please set that up with more? John Mayer.
I know beef with John Mayer. No, I mean, like the thing is, I think one of the greatest things that an artist can never be is underestimated. That happened to me a lot early in my career. A critic would come up and, be real shocked if I use like a rock reference for something. I'll talk about like this one particular journalist was shocked that I listened to Physical Graffiti by Led Zeppelin. And I was like, why would you be shocked? Like, even if I wasn't a Led Zeppelin fan, the nature of how all these records got built, strictly based on producers that have vast knowledge to grab any record that didn't belong in their parents' record collection. Of course, growing up, you got the fundamentals, you got James Brown, you got Earth, Wind & Fire, but the way you would choose records to sample is you would just take some of the illest looking album covers and hope there was some obscure on it. You just buy every album, and eventually you become a fan. Now, I didn't necessarily sample those records for particular rap records, but I still dug and brought those records so I could educate myself. And as far as John Mayer is concerned, he's talent for days, man.
What a great skit, though, in the living room doing Different Strokes. Doesn't get much better than that.
You were in the barbershop. We were in a Harlem barbershop doing Different Strokes. You should have seen the people that were like, they were just sitting there at the window like, and this is before Chappelle was a household word, so it was just like,